Well, here on the Sarah's Country Changemaker Show, every Wednesday, I love bringing you new innovations when it comes to helping farming and growing food and fashion here in New Zealand to be more sustainable, but also, of course, profitable. We are going to be talking next about the technology known as fertigation, which is the application of liquid fertilisers through an irrigation system. Fertigation Systems, the company, is a vehicle for successful and sustainable farming through precise application of fertiliser on farm using existing irrigation infrastructure. And in a first, which is a guest in my studio here in Canterbury, welcome to Graeme Pile, co-founder of Fertigation Systems. How great is it to have the title of first guest in Sarah's studio?
I'm amazed and privileged, Sarah. Yeah,
Thank you.
Great.
Do you like what I've done with the place?
It's wonderful. Great art. Yeah, bit of nice pictures on the wall and stuff. Yeah.
Trying to make it homely.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, awesome. Graeme, I've really enjoyed getting to understand more about fertigation, but I've sort of given a little bit of a brief there in the intro about what it is.
Yes.
But would you be able to put a bit more context around it for someone who's not familiar with either fertiliser application in general and what we currently do in New Zealand, and also irrigation through, say, pivots?
Okay, so at the moment the farmers supply fertiliser via a truck, either with a spreader on the back, and they might do that once a year or once a month on a dairy farm. So with fertigation, what we're doing is we're liquefying that fertiliser and we put it through any irrigation system that the farmers have on farm, and because of that, then they can apply little and often, and they can spoon feed the plant. So there's no waste to the environment, and it's better for the environment.
And of course, we're facing some challenges with the nitrogen cap of 190 kilos of nitrogen per hectare. So therefore, you must be seeing potentially a swing to the controlled environment such as this. But how would that differ in terms of still being able to get the benefits from using less?
So the 190 cap has really made the farmers need to think about how they're going to apply the fertiliser and what sort of fertiliser they're going to apply. With fertigation, they can, because they are putting little and often on, then instead of putting a kilo of N on per day, they can actually put on, say, 0.7 or 0.5 a kilo a day, and they can manage it a lot better. So if the grass is growing really well, then they can say, okay, well, we won't put on the 30 kilos, so we'll only put on 5 kilos a day. In one application. So they can manage it a lot better, and that allows them to reduce it from, say, 250 kilos of N that are applying down to less than 190. Yeah, and plus they save money as well.
When we were talking about it in the office yesterday, some of the common things that people think about straight away is wouldn't it block up the nozzles within the irrigator? Could you explain how that works and it doesn't become a problem?
Yeah, certainly, and that's one of the issues why some farmers are a wee bit hesitant to put a fertigation unit in. The fertiliser that we use in the liquid, the farmers buy it from Ravensdown and Balance, so they know it's consistent. They know it's got no lumps or bits in it that's going to block the irrigator, and also the volume of water that the farmers are applying through the irrigator means that, for example, if they're applying 10 mils of water on a hectare, that's 100,000 litres of water, and we're only injecting possibly 1,000 litres of fertiliser with it. So it's very dilute, and it doesn't block the nozzles, it doesn't rust the pivots, so it doesn't harm the infrastructure in any way.
Yeah, so some of those common things that you do get initially. What are some of the other misconceptions that may make people more hesitant?
One of the misconceptions is it's foliar feeding the plant. Now we're not doing that. Foliar feeding the plant is when you apply nutrients via a spray truck, where you're only putting on 200 litres of water per hectare, and that's going through the leaf. With fertigation, it's been washed into the soil and it's taken up by the roots. The other misconception is that it's applying effluent to the paddocks. That's totally not correct. So it's just applying new nutrients in terms of urea or other liquid fertilisers to the soil.
Yeah. And fertigation as a concept, is it new to New Zealand because of our recently new infrastructure with irrigation? Like, what is happening around the world?
In New Zealand, it's been around for about 15 years, but it's been around the world for like 40 or 50 years, especially in the States, where 80% of the fertilisers is put through the irrigators. So it's been tried in New Zealand before, and with some success. But what we've changed now is that we've actually got a totally integrated system that uses very, very reliable pumps and products, and it's simple to use. So we've learned from the past in terms of what didn't work in the past, and we've made sure that this is a robust system that the farmers can easily use.
Yeah, and so some of our listeners and viewers who do have long memories to some of the times that it has been tried before, why did it not work last time?
It didn't work last time because the infrastructure that was put onto farm wasn't reliable and wasn't robust. The solenoids would block up, or they were doing a lot of mixing on farm. And as one farmer said to me, I'm a farmer, I'm a stockman, I'm not a chemist. So therefore, I don't want to mix on farm. I'd rather have the liquid delivered to my farm.
Yeah. And when it comes to the technology of monitoring what's going on, because obviously we need to capture a lot of the data of inputs going on farm for our farm environment plans, how is the technology that you're using or offering plugging into existing softwares and planning tools for farmers?
What a great question. So what we've got here is all our pumps have a flow meter on them, the fertiliser pumps. And that information, along with the GPS position of the pivot, goes back into the cloud, and it records how much was applied, when it was applied, and also how much water was applied with it. So, and that's per pivot or per paddock. So the farmer can get a printout, print it off, put it in his farm environmental plan, and then you'll get a big tick.
I'm also thinking too, I've got to play devil's advocate here on behalf of the listeners, is that a pivot on most farms is round, and there is corners in paddocks that have fixed grid irrigation or K-line. And so therefore, if I'm going to do a traditional fertiliser application, the truck goes up and down in a rectangle shape. What happens to those redundant areas?
Yeah, so the fertigation go through any irrigation, so it can go through those fixed grid areas or the pivots or the K line. We've got a rule of thumb that if we can cover 85% of the farm if we can cover 85% of the farm with fertigation in terms of fertiliser through the irrigator for a reasonable sum of money, then that's our goal. If you try to cover 100% of the farm via fertigation, therefore the capital cost is just too much, you still need to come in with a truck in those wee areas.
And I mean, top dressing application and the precision technology that's going into that, they would like to think that they are very good at covering areas, and then the next step up, of course, helicopter. But this in terms of precision is taking it right down to the blade of grass.
It is indeed, and just coming back to the precision, the trucks can now alter where that they can are very accurate in terms of where they can put that fertiliser. So in terms of the corners and stuff, then they can actually put the fertiliser exactly where it needs to go. The fertigation is at that next level in terms of precision. We can go within 10 metres of a fence line or whatever, just where the water stops, the fertiliser stops.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're not trying to book in a chopper just before it rains, and so is every other farmer.
Exactly.
We know that happens.
Yes, indeed.
and applying minerals at the right time is something that could really enhance the productivity of New Zealand.
Indeed, it can. And it's also the productivity because we can increase the efficiency with the fertiliser. The other one that we've been doing a lot of study on at the moment is also the emissions. If we can cut the emissions down in terms of less or no trucks on the farm spreading fertiliser. Also with fertigation, we don't lose the nitrous oxide to the from the fertiliser to the atmosphere, and we can also stop or reduce the nitrous oxide from the urine pitches as well.
And compaction from trucks too.
Yes, compaction of trucks
on the soil as well.
Yes, yeah.
What about with regards to getting the minerals to the root zone more effectively?
Yes, it does that as well. You're very knowledgeable, really. So the farmer doesn't have to wait for 8 mils or 10 mils of rain or irrigator to wash the urea or the fertiliser in, because it's been washed in straight away with the irrigation water.
Yeah, I know. My at-home conversations are quite boring and technical in these sorts of worlds. But also, too, something I was fascinated at the Kuwi Field Days 2 years ago was a dripline irrigation under soil. And the first thing I thought of was how amazing fertigation would be when literally you are feeding the plant's root zones by burying the irrigation and the fertiliser. That would be a game changer.
Yeah, it works very, very well with subsoil drip irrigation. That's the ultimate.
And so therefore we're talking a lot about pastoral farming, but in multiple different land uses such as horticulture and market gardens, etc. It's endless?
It is endless. There's a lot of fertigation units going on vineyards and also horticulture. They've been doing it for 10, 20 years, and they get the benefits. They get good grapes and good veggies, etc., etc. So why shouldn't the pastoral farms of New Zealand enjoy those benefits as well?
Yeah, certainly. So I mean, the thing is, Graeme, you're not new to the farming industry. Went to Lincoln University, grew up on a sheep and beef farm in Mauraki, near Dunedin, and I mean, so I suppose you seem extremely passionate about this particular field. But I mean, everyone gets out of bed specifically to make a change, and of course, we're on the Change Maker show. What is it that drives you and you love to see change and would feel like that measure of your success?
That's an interesting question. I've been helping farmers for 25 years in different forms, whether it be finance or insurance or fertilisers and technology. And I see that my company, Fertigation Systems, is really a combination of all those past experiences, so that the thing that gets me out of bed is to make sure that whatever we suggest to the farms to do, it's going to be profitable. He's going to be sleep easier. It's going to tick all the boxes. That's going to make his life a lot easier. If I can do that, then I've done my job, and and we'll all be better for it. Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, we're all motivated for a reason. Otherwise, we wouldn't do what we do. And helping others is, to be able to achieve that, is absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, Graeme, for being my first guest in Serious Country Studio here in Taitapu.